Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday morning, a little earlier than usual because we have NBA playoffs. You're going to get the NBA live before lock at noon, going until 1 o'clock. If Phoenix does not win tonight, this will be the last of our 4-game slates. So come on, Phoenix. Let's try to get the gentleman's sweep in play here. Matt, how are you doing? We had a wild night of baseball last night. Those Minnesota Twins were rather pesky.
Yeah, just going back to your point about the Suns, it's like, when the teams shoot the free throws and if they miss, the stands gets like free tacos or whatever it is. We're rooting for the more DFS slates.
Exactly. Because we will have a couple 3-game slates, but this would be the last of the 4-game slates because I don't think the Pelicans are going to help us out here. So
great. The Twins and the Yankees last night needed some of both, probably mostly Yankees. I played Pittsburgh. It didn't work out that well. Dylan Cease wasn't very good. Kirby was amazing. The Twins and Yankees. Haven't seen too many like outlier performances like that, but we had 3 yesterday with those 2 teams and the Red Sox on the day slate.
Yeah, and of course, Houston tucked in on that 6 o'clock game, which wasn't really on anything. But today, Houston and Colorado, that game is in Mexico City. It is at 4 o'clock. It is on the afternoon slate. So I've written that up in the DFS top stacks and top or spotlight pitchers article, which should be posting momentarily here. So we may hit on that at the end. We are brought to you by Prize Picks today. A couple key things you need to know about them. One, when you sign up through the deposit link or through the link below us here and make your first deposit, they will match you up to $100. And you will also get 1 free month of Odd Shopper as part of that deal. So that is a little something from them, a little something from us, but not a bad way to go. Prize Picks is a lot of fun. They have all sorts of promotions, well outpacing the other pick'em sites. They have Taco Tuesdays, which they run 3 to 4 different discounted player props that you get throughout the day. You can put up $25 on each one. On Fridays, they do Flex Fridays. You get, if you do a 5 or a 6 pick flex card, they will reimburse you if you lose up to $20. That's a pretty nifty one. And then I got a promotional email from them today that says, hey, EMac, go check out your account. The triple threat just landed. Lineups from LA to New York. Boost TF up. I don't know what boost TF up means, but in any event, there's a little rocket. So I'm guessing that's some sort of discounted promotion that will be involving. It says we've got 2 fresh lineups from this weekend slate with players repping New York and LA. Tail those and get your 5x boosted up to 6x. So they're always doing fun little things like that. And that's the little ways you can find the edges, but that is over at Prize Picks. All right, weather. We do have some weather today. The worst spot looks like Boston. That's Sunday Night Baseball. So that is really not going to be an issue for us. Although, if you are playing some all-day slates or on Yahoo, that will be something you want to be cognizant of. And then I think there's a little bit of weather in the Midwest, but doesn't look like anything that should cause more than an in-game delay at this point in time. As always, keep tabs via the meteorology updates from your favorite DFS resources out there on Twitter. Matt, let's talk a little pitching. We'll talk some stacks. We're going to talk about the lineup generator because promo code DOUBLE gets you 1 week for $5 of the MLB lineup generator. Maybe we'll talk some odd shoppers here. I just picked up a Julio Rodriguez home run pick. He only has 1 on the season, but I'm hoping he gets his 2nd today. He gets Brandon Pfaadt. But we got the main slate. I believe it's 7 games because there's a pretty robust afternoon slate. What do you have at the top of the pitching, and why is it Tariq Skubal? And do we want to bust our budget for him today? That's the biggest question of all.
Yeah, I think so. He looks like by far the best pitching option. I'm a huge Skubal guy. The price is up, but you can easily counter that with cheap bats. A cheap pitcher I like a lot. I think when you consider how expensive he is, that's where you start to think, can I get away from him? And again, I don't think he's like an auto lock. He's 10K against a decent Kansas City team, but he's just far and away the best pitcher on this particular slate. I don't mind the matchup. Maybe some weather concerns, but probably not. There's different offenses I like today, so I have no problem just playing Skubal and moving on, no matter how many lineups I play. Again, I'm not playing 150, But whether I play 1 and I play Skubal or I play 4 and I play Skubal in all of them, I'm fine with it.
All right. So I see in stat, they're mentioning that Kansas City, or in chat, they're mentioning Kansas City doesn't have a lot of strikeouts against lefties. That's absolutely correct. That is sort of the that and the price are only the real knocks against Skubal today. Last year, he only made 15 starts. He was dealing with an injury, but he had a career best 11.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, allowing just 1.6 walks per 9 and only half a home run every 9 innings. That's pretty good. Key things that made that big change is he has increased his ground ball rates each of his 4 seasons in the league. And that combined with his strikeouts should have him flirting with a top 10 ERA. Once again, that was my assessment there in the stochastic spotlight pitchers and top stacks tool. We do mention that Kansas City has some decent contact hitters. While they don't have a ton of strikeouts against lefties, they don't have a lot of power per se either. So between that and their contact and Skubal being pretty good at inducing ground balls, I like him for, all but assured of the quality start, or at least as much as we can say that about any pitcher today, which is key on FanDuel. But he is definitely going to be a top pitcher today. 55 on Yahoo. That's occasionally when they had Apex, Kershaw, and Max Scherzer, they would go up to 60 or 61. We don't see that all that often. 55 is one of the higher ones of the season. I think we have had somebody at 56 or 57. 10,000 on DraftKings. That's sort of the magic threshold where that true aces end up getting, and then 10,900 on FanDuel. So it is an Apex salary. There is no discount whatsoever on it. But as Matt said, there should be some discounted bats because it's Sunday. So that means backup catchers, the 4th or 5th outfielder gets into play, the utility infielder may get a spot start somewhere. So we should have some cheapies. The real question is, Matt, who is the number 2 pitcher today? Because there's about 5 candidates.
So before I answer that, I want to counter the, Kansas City doesn't strike out a ton against lefties.
Strikeouts? Sure.
Yeah, so that's true. But my counter would be, how many lefties have they faced that are like Tariq Skubal, one of the premier left-handed strikeout artists in the game? So again, yeah, I don't love the matchup, but he's just far and away the best pitcher on this particular slate, at least in my eyes. After Skubal gets really, really murky. Ownership is getting split between 3 guys for that SP2 spot. Gausman, who is at a discount, obviously in a really tough spot. Albert Suarez, who has seen his price double, but he's at home against Oakland and he's been good. And then Dane Dunning against Cincinnati. That's just a price play. I'm going to go with none of those guys as my guy. I'm going to go with Ryan Weathers. I don't love it, but he's way too cheap. He's 3rd overall in our top pitcher tool. 15% chance of being a top 2 guy, 17% ownership. He's been very good this year. He hasn't been great, but he's been much better than a $6,300 pitcher. He wasn't great last time out in Atlanta. Okay. He was phenomenal in the start before that against San Francisco, at New York, and then at St. Louis. He was okay. I think the price is right here against the Nationals team that I don't love picking on with chalky pitchers because they don't strike out a ton, but he's cheap. He's not getting a ton of love. He saves buco bucks, and I just don't love anyone else. So what's your take?
It's almost like you read my article, and I know you didn't because it only posted 5 minutes ago. But my last sentence says, those looking for a discount, this is in the Skubal section. I just dropped the link into chat. That is free every day. I will cover a pitcher and a stack from each of the slates. Usually it's hard to get basketball in, or with basketball, it's hard to get the early slate in. But as soon as basketball is down to just a couple games a day, you'll be getting the afternoon slates from me as well. But we do the evening sub slate, the late slate, all that good stuff. So my articles tend to be a little different than the other free articles, including Matt's, that are on the site. But my last sentence says, those looking for a discount can consider Albert Suarez of the Orioles going against the pitiful Oakland A's in Baltimore. That you brought that up. Dane Dunning is at home against the Cincinnati Reds. Okay, you mentioned he is the cheapie. And left-hander Ryan Weathers and the Marlins are hosting the hapless Washington Nationals, providing us 2 more alternatives. Yeah, I think Weathers is in play. The Nationals, so bad. Just so bad. Gallo, not that he actually isn't bad against lefties. Anytime he can connect, he's not bad. It's the 40% strikeout rate that kills him. But that takes this is just a dilapidated lineup with Lane Thomas out. Even Victor Robles, he's a average ball player, but him not being available this year hurts them, as well as it takes a good defensive outfielder out of the game for their pitchers. Just the Nationals are so bad. It's hard to believe they won the World Series. It was just 2019.
Yeah, it is bizarre that basically no one is left there anymore. They got rid of everyone. Again, I don't love Weathers here, but the spot is right. The price is right. He's not getting a ton of ownership. Like, I'm not spending $8K on Albert Suarez. I'm just not doing it. I understand it, why anyone would, because of the other pitching options. His price has doubled. I know that he's been good, and in the 2 starts he's pitched. I'm just not buying it. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Again, if I don't hate it on this slate, but he's just not for me.
Yeah, and so Suarez is actually someone I said bad things about in his first start. He has floated around literally forever. He first appeared with Tampa Bay. I believe we talked about this on one of our shows, Matt. First appeared in Tampa Bay in rookie ball, 2008. Did not make it up to the show until 2016. He was 26. That was his first time. That was with San Francisco. He got a few starts. He had 22 appearances, 12 starts, 10 relief appearances. And then he went back down into the minors, never to be seen again, out of the league for several years, popped up in the KBO the last couple seasons, and Baltimore said, sure, we'll give you a chance. He had a few strikeouts there for AAA. I'm assuming that was the Norfolk Tides that he was with. But he doesn't profile as anything special. It's mostly a matchup because of Oakland. That's really all that there is to this one. Against even an average team, he would be a $6,000 pitcher on DraftKings. He's $8,000 because he's going against Oakland. That we got to play 2 of them. That's my endorsement there for Suarez. It is far from a ringing endorsement. Aside from the matchup, is there any attributes that Weathers has that you find appealing?
He's got pretty good strikeout upside, and it's more like just the price. It's a price spot ownership thing. Like, there isn't something I'm looking at, like, that the underlying numbers are saying he's way better than he's been this year, but he hasn't been bad. He's been fine. I think he's a decent arm. I know he got exposed in San Diego, but he was always a highly regarded prospect for them. And again, it's just a slate where I don't love the other options. As far as Suarez goes, I would play Gausman over him. I know that the spot is much worse, obviously, but we're talking about Kevin Gausman versus Albert Suarez. Like, this is crazy that they're basically the same price. And I get it. Gausman hasn't been great this year, and I don't love him either. But I struggle to play a pitcher like Suarez over a guy like Gausman. And going back to something you talked about last night when we talked about Kirby and you asked me my interest in Arizona. No, I didn't have interest in Arizona because Kirby's really good. But I don't think Suarez is really good. He's only getting ownership because of the slate and the matchup. Oakland stacks are in play for me.
All right. I'm looking here to see what has changed with Gausman. It feels more like a run of, I guess, bad luck. His fastball's averaging 93.8. That's a mile an hour lower than last year and 1.2 lower in 2022 and almost a mile an hour lower than 2021, but not terrible. I mean, it still sits in the low to mid 90s, right? So that means he's throwing it. He can reach 97, 98 as needed. He hasn't really changed his pitch mix a whole lot, a little bit less with the split finger, a little bit more with the fastball. Or a little bit less with the fastball is going to the split finger, but nothing crazy, only a little bit more than each of the last 2 seasons. So it just sort of feels like unlucky with the hard hit rate. Let's go see what his strand rate is. Oh, well, there you go. His strand rate is at 57%. So that means of everybody on base, 57% of them do not score. League average, probably around 70 or so percent. For starters, you like to see your starters in the mid 70s for your better starters. His career average is 75. So combination of a little bit of bad luck, but then we look at the 5.57 ERA. His xERA is 6.33. I don't know. We're going against the Dodgers. If memory serves, I think they have not 1, not 2, but 3 former MVPs at the top of their lineup here, Matt.
Yeah. Woo. Like, that's my big problem with Gausman. I'm a huge Gausman guy. I think he's a great pitcher. But if you avoid the Dodgers, picking against them all year on every slate, I don't think you're crazy at all. This lineup is just so good. A lot better than most other lineups in baseball. And I do feel like they get up a little bit when they face good pitchers. So you might see mediocre guys have decent starts against them. And sure, you'll have good starters pitch well against them too, but they destroyed Chris Bassett the other night. And, that is at the front of my head for sure. I mean, I love Gausman as a pitcher, and on this slate, he's high on my short list. I just don't feel good about it at all, which is why I land on Weathers. I know that Gausman's a much better pitcher, but it's the Dodgers that scare me.
That's absolutely fair. And we look at the 8,300 on DraftKings. They're pricing in the tough matchup and
right.
the not so good performances thus far. So it's not like we're overpaying. It's just, do I want to take anybody against the Dodgers if I don't have to? Looking at Dane Dunning a little bit more, Cincinnati Reds they have a 4.4 implied run total. We don't have their lineup just yet. They have a couple guys on the injured list, but they still are putting forth a decent enough lineup. Ellie De La Cruz, perhaps he is real. Last year he started off on fire, stumbled down the stretch a little bit. I made references that he reminded me of when Yasiel Puig first came into the league, and just like everything he did was electric, right? The laser throws from the outfield, the stealing bases, the wearing the green, I forget if it was green batting gloves or green stirrups on his socks. I can't remember what it was, but just kind of the flashy guy. That's what Ellie De La Cruz felt like. He's backing it up this year. He's got some good power, some good stolen bases. He's also got a lofty salary of $5,900. Dunning is a decent SP2. I wouldn't go to him on FanDuel, only because getting that quality start could be a little bit of a touch and go situation for Dunning here. He doesn't always clear the sixth inning, which is step one of the quality start. Step two is you can only allow 3 earned runs. But on DK at 6,800, I can live with it. Reds offense usually doesn't travel with them. I'm suspecting, I'll have to go look and see if it's posted. I suspect the roof will be closed in Texas today. It's a nice spring day there, but a lot of times they put the roof on the stadium, similar to Houston, to just not have it open, kind of like with Arizona as well. So usually it's their default position for some of these games. Zach Little going against the White Sox. We talked about how bad the White Sox are in general, about 20 runs less than any other team in the league. Do you go with the little Zach attack? K in his name, a few K's in his game. Not like the Zachs with an H that really don't have K's in their game or name. He's got a little bit and a good matchup. Do you want to go with Zach Little?
No, but he's not like a cross off for me. Like, he's too expensive. And we talked about it yesterday. Like, I'm certainly not a believer in this White Sox lineup, like, going forward. But right now, today, at this moment, they're better than they were a week ago. With Tommy Pham, they've won both games in this series. They've scored a bunch of runs. I still think that they're the premier matchup in baseball. But Littell is just an okay pitcher, and he's 8,700. Now, the flip side of that is he's not getting any ownership. And I would play Littell over Albert Suarez, personally. They have basically the same top 2 pitcher percentage. Suarez getting 3.25 times the ownership. So I'm on team Littell just because he's not Albert Suarez, but I don't really like Littell himself. How about you?
He's in play. I like him when he pitches in Tampa Bay. It's a good pitcher's park. In turn, I will like anybody against the White Sox, right? So sort of there. I give him the slightest of nods against aging veterans. They're not even veterans anymore. They're aging veterans, Lance Lynn and Jose Quintana. So he gets the nod on that. He's way better than Ben Lively. Of course, Lively also going against Atlanta. That's not good. I would even go with him over Bryce Elder. So that transitions us. How do you feel about Bryce Elder against your Cleveland Guardians?
Not great. Not a guy I'm going to go to at all.
Right.
He was okay in the minors before he got called up. Wasn't good in the spring. Wasn't great last year. He's low in our top pitcher tool. I don't love the matchup. Cleveland doesn't strike out a ton. I much prefer this lineup against right-handed pitching. He's 8,200. Like, he's better than Ben Lively. But I agree that Lively is higher owned just because of the price difference. Elder 8,200 in this spot seems like a big overpay.
Right. How about Marcus Strowman in Milwaukee going against the Brewers, who, of course, missing a few key bats, including former MVP and two-time batting champion, outfield centerpiece of their offense. What do you think about Strowman?
I just really don't understand how DK keeps his price this high. Like, he's not a $9,600 pitcher. I don't hate the spot, but I don't love the spot either. Milwaukee's been great against right-handed pitching this year. I mean, he's now at the price where I'd rather use bats against him, not because I think he's bad, but he's way too expensive for me here. Like, I think Skubal is the much better play. I don't want to play both of them together because then you're pigeonholed into a type of roster construction that I don't love. Yeah, if you're stacking Oakland and you just have all the salary in the world, I don't think Skubal Strowman is crazy, but 9,600 doesn't feel right for him. I don't love the spot. The ownership isn't a problem at all. The only case that I can make for Strowman really is that he's in the same pricing tier as Skubal, the only other pitcher in that tier, and he's getting like 1/5 of the ownership. And in high dollar stuff, that'll be even lower. So, like, that's it. It's baseball. Weird stuff can happen, but on the surface, I don't really like Strowman at 9,600. I don't like him at all, matter of fact.
All right. Strowman for his career, he's been in the league, let's call it 10 or so seasons here. He did not pitch in 2020. He opted out during the COVID pandemic. 2.5 All-Star nominations. Do you have higher or lower?
Lower.
Okay. He has 2, but he did make the All-Star team last year with the Cubs.
Yeah, he started out the season really well. I think he was not good in the second half.
Allowed just 9 home runs. That tends to be his calling card, as he doesn't allow a lot of power. Just enough ground balls to survive. Just enough strikeouts that every now and then he can put 7 together in a game that makes him fantasy relevant, and then next 3 starts he'll have 8 strikeouts combined over those starts. He's a tough guy to go to at that salary. It really is. But I mean, career ERA is 3.64. That's pretty damn good.
He's a good pitcher. Like, he's a good real life pitcher. I'm a fan of Strowman. I think in real life, at his best, he's a rock solid number 2 starter. But even then, like, he's never been a great DFS starter.
All right. Any other pitchers, or do we start to flip the script and say bad things about the pitchers?
One guy that the tools are having me go against him, and we'll talk about that in the stacks. But one guy that I'm a little surprised is so low in our top pitcher tool, Eric Fedy, coming off his best start of the year against Minnesota, KBO All-Star last year, KBO MVP. I know that he hasn't been that good in MLB this year. He's just kind of a middling pitcher, but he's shown strikeout upside. And this Tampa lineup, I mean, kind of stinks. Like, I know they're high in our top stack tool, and I like getting there because of that, but you look up and down this lineup, it's not pretty. No Yandy Diaz, as you mentioned yesterday. He got hit in the hand the other night. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on the DL or the IL, excuse me. Arozarena is hitting like 140. I mean, that will change, but will it change today? I don't know. Again, the tools have me on Tampa here, but just looking at this slate from a 30,000 foot view, I'm a little surprised that Fedy isn't popping a little more, to be quite honest.
Well, that is because, per my write-up, the Stochastics Top Stacks tool has determined that right-hand pitcher Eric Fedy is either an imposter or he had a lucky horseshoe surgically implanted over the offseason. In 6 seasons with the Nationals, he had 454 innings. He had a 7 strikeout per 9, 1.6 home runs per 9, almost 4 walks per 9. 5.4 ERA, though technically he was a little unlucky with a 5.2 FIP and a 4.6 xFIP. He was worth 1.4 WAR, wins above replacements, over those 5 seasons. He goes to the KBO, discovers how to throw strikes, strikes out 10 per 9 there, has brought that back with him here. I think that's falling apart. I don't think that is a true tale for him. Now, Yandy Diaz is going to be the big key. If he's in the lineup today, yay. If he's not, he's not. And we're getting conflicting reports there. We thought Josh Lowe was going to return to the lineup this weekend. He's been dealing with the sore oblique. He has tweaked his hamstring, or has a tight hamstring. So he's not going to return for still a couple more days. But to your point, Randy Arozarena, barely hitting his weight. You got Richie Palacios. You got Isaac Paredes, maybe Jose Siri, but he's having trouble connecting this season as well. Great power, but he seems lost at the plate. He could be batting 9th, which gives us a wraparound stack. But and he's been stealing some bases to make up for his crappiness at the plate. But yeah, Yandy Diaz, if he's not in, that makes this lineup a little less appealing. But I can't go to Fedy. I just can't.
I hate this lineup, and I actually like Fedy. So I know that I'm going to stack Tampa today, and in 5 hours be like, what the hell did I do? But I also I'm not buying what Fedy is selling long term. I do think that he's probably better than he was with Washington. I also like targeting these mid-tier pitchers coming off their elite, nut a start where he's not going to get any better. And the big thing for me is Tampa's just not going to get ownership. They're second to their top stack tool, coming in under-owned. And I'm just, from my general, getting a sense of this slate from the outside, I think that we could even see Fedy a little bit higher on.
All right. So before we get too far into the stacks, let's talk about the lineup generator. So for baseball right now, promo code double gets you 1 week of the lineup generator with all access to that and the Discord for just those $5. That's promo code double. So the fun thing about the lineup generator here, hopefully Mike can share that on the screen. The screen's too tiny and my eyes are too old to see it, so I will sort of talk along here. But key things are with the lineup generator, we'll build on FanDuel today. You can build out, you can choose your stack types. On FanDuel, it is 4-4, 4-3-1, and 4-2-2. For DraftKings, it's 5-3, 5-0, and 4-4. So whatever stack type you pick, it will go with just those, or you can collect all stack types and it will allow all of them to occur. You can choose your lineup type: chalky, balanced, contrarian, or accept all lineups. Chalky is nowhere near as chalky as NBA is, especially NBA playoffs. So even if you pick chalky, it's going to give you a popular stack. It'll probably give you the popular pitcher, but this tool is built off of all of the other stochastic tools. So it is incorporating the boom bust tool, the leverage tool, player projections. It's utilizing thousands and thousands of simulations, just like the MLB Sims is doing as well. You just don't have as many inputs that you can tweak here, which is why this is a much more friendly price point. But you will still get good lineups, and they'll still be relatively unique. Even if you pick chalky, you can lock in one pitcher, you can lock in one hitter, and then when you start building lineups, you can build out up to 20. You don't like the looks of a lineup, you can hit discard. You like it, hit save. You get up to 20, or even less than 20 if you want, but you can build up to 20, and then we can click on going and looking at those saved lineups. When you look at that on the right, you're going to see the mix of players in your portfolio. When you click on the name of one of the players, it will then highlight and bring their lineups to the top. Over on the left side, you can then expand those lineups, see if you like the looks of them. You can swap out player if you like, or manually do that, or you can discard a lineup if you don't like it. This is a lot of fun. It's great for NBA. It's great for baseball because of the ability just to build stacks for you quickly. So especially for hand building types, you can come in and find more or less what you like. And then you say, oh, here's my core stack. Here's the pitcher I want. And then you can go hand build the rest of your lineup, etc. So very, very useful. It's available for the main slates on every day on both DraftKings and FanDuel. So right now, promo code double gets you that for just $5. So we said bad things about the Nationals, which is always important. I got to double down and then say bad things about a former Nationals pitcher. I'm feeling good about that. I'm going to say bad things about a current Nationals pitcher. That would be Patrick Corbin. Do you have one good thing to say about Patrick Corbin? I do. this is the last year of his contract. The last year of that 6-year, $140 million monstrosity that did in the first year enable him to be on the team that won the World Series. Flags fly forever, but it's been a mess ever since then. Since that season, so since the start of 2020, he has allowed the second most home runs in the league. Who allowed the most? Well, that would be Jordan Lyles, of course, because that's just how it works. But he's only 2 or 3 ahead of Patrick Corbin. So Corbin is just not good. But if we start to look at that Miami lineup here, let's see if it got posted. Yes, it did. The key guys I like, Josh Bell, no Avi Garcia. That hurts. I really wanted Avi Garcia to be in the lineup.
You know this lineup is awful when you're missing Avi Garcia.
Yeah, because he and Josh Bell had a collective 21 at-bats, 5 home runs, and a double in their 8 hits against Corbin. I know we don't like BVP, but those guys were shaping up well. Josh Bell is my home run of the day for what it's worth, switch hitting Josh Bell, former teammate there of Patrick Corbin. But it hurts. It hurts to not have Avi in that lineup. Tim Anderson, last seen 3 years ago, was amazing against lefties. Has been on the back of a milk carton since. Do people watching this even get the back of the milk carton joke anymore? I think the internet ruined that one.
I don't know. Probably not, which is crazy to me, but you're right. Probably not.
Yeah. And they have plastic milk jugs more often than not. We used to have milk cartons, and they'd, like, kids who were lost or missing, they'd put their picture on the back. So then you'd be sitting there at breakfast, and depending if it was you or your sibling on the other side of the table, whoever saw the back of the milk carton saw a kid staring back at them. It was very creepy. The 70s and 80s were a somewhat disturbing time. In any event, yeah, I'm not quite as excited about Miami because they were going to be my duo, my dynamic duo there. But without Avi Garcia, I'm not feeling good about it. It's cheap. Tim Anderson.
You cannot let no Avi Garcia take you off Miami. He cannot have that much impact on you. That said, Miami's lineup just sucks in general. So Corbin is not good, but these two offenses, Washington and Miami, are the second highest 2 owned on the slate. No thanks. Like, if that's what beats me, it beats me. But Corbin's not good, but Miami's not good either. Park is awful. And a big thing for me is they're coming up as a really good value stack. You don't need it today. Like, yeah, if you want to pay for Skubal and Strowman or Gausman, I guess if you're going like Suarez and Skubal, it makes sense. But that's not the lineup construction I'm going to go with personally. I would much rather stack Miami than Washington, though, if forced to choose.
That's fair. I see, and I'm slightly taking this out of context, so I do not mean this to be bad or shaming in any way. Someone was mentioning that we don't mention the optimal lineup here for baseball very much. It's hard to do. Baseball is absolutely crazy. The variance is just nuts. Even if we said which team, tell me which team is the very best stack today. Right now, it's Atlanta on DraftKings with a 9% chance of being the best stack. That means 91% of the time, they are not the best stack. The number 2 team, well, that's Baltimore at 8.7. So you put those two together, and those are 2 of the best offenses on the slate. That's a 17% chance that they're the top stack, which means 83% of the time, it's not them, right? It's very difficult to talk about the optimal lineup, which is why we espouse building out multiple lineups. Now, you can do that in a variety of ways, right? You can use our tools. We showed you lineup generator. You can build out 20 at a time. You can keep building them out and downloading. You can build up to 5,000 if you would like. We do the 150 max, right? That's a good one. Matt likes to build 3 or 4 lineups. I hand build 1 lineup every day on Yahoo. So there are a variety of ways that you can do this, right? You don't have to have the optimal lineup. The other thing about baseball is the optimal lineup that's not what's going to be needed to win the tournament.
No one's ever going to have it.
Right. And when you go look at the optimal lineups, there used to be a few sites that would put this out all the time. It'd be leaving like $9,000 on the table because they're picking off random guy who hits 2 home run, random catcher that has 2 bases clearing doubles, right? This is entirely different than football. Okay, we can hone in on a core. Basketball, shit, we can pretty much tell you 6 of the best plays, 6 of the best 10 plays every single day, right? Baseball, we can't do that. It's just too chaotic.
Yeah, you're never going to get to optimal because almost always the optimal is going to be full of one-offs because even if a stack scores 10 runs and that's what wins tournaments, one random guy hitting 2 home runs or whatever it is going to be in there. Moving on, though, to an even more important point, the Rays lineup came out and Diaz is in there, but Arozarena is not.
No.
So they're even cheaper now, which I don't even care about, but yeah, it is what it is.
Happy Sunday. It's baseball. People getting the day off. Right? People are like, oh, why did everybody get the day off on Sunday? Remember, most of the team plays at night games, right? Sunday's the early game for everybody. It's usually kind of the tradition that a veteran or two is going to get the day off, and then they usually know about it. We may not, but they know about it the night before typically, so they may have a little extra fun and just not quite be in game shape, shall we say, the next day. Oh boy. Well, Michael Wacha didn't get mentioned in the pitching segment. Do you want to take the Motor City Kitties against him? They have a 4.3 implied run total here, except that they've got like 4 players in their lineup I've never heard of. Okay, make that 3, but Wensiel Perez counts for 2. I've never heard of him.
He actually started a couple games last week in Minnesota and was phenomenal. Put up big DK scores. I don't think that's going to continue. I don't like Wacha here. He's too expensive, and I don't really like Detroit here. They're really low on our top stack tool. Ownership is right in line with their top stack percentage. I mean, they have the same top stack percentage as the White Sox. Pretty similar to the Royals. So that's a no for me. Of all the teams down here, personally, I like Oakland the best because Suarez is getting ownership.
Oakland does have a nice trio concentrated where of their better hitters between JJ Bleday, Brent Rooker, and Seth Brown. Of course, that is going to populate your entire outfield, which can really shape your lineups on DraftKings and Yahoo. Not as big a deal on FanDuel because you do have that utility slot there, but that is something that we want to be cognizant of because usually the outfielders have the best cheap play. And they usually have the best power hitters. So
one of my favorite one-off bats on the slate, leading off for Oakland today, Lawrence Butler. He's like my favorite guy on the A's anyways. He's usually at the bottom of the lineup, but I think he's going to be good. He's got big speed upside. Power is going to come. Leading off today at 2,200. Yes, please.
So do you think extra base hit a possibility or a steal? Which do you think is possible?
I'm going to say a steal. I'm going to say both, but a steal more likely.
So I'm just setting the parameters because at some point today, hopefully you will get a tweet from me and it's just going to have a GIF and it's going to say the Butler did it. But I want you to know why. So we're setting the metric here.
I got you
for that. Atlanta is awesome. We know that. The Dodgers, we talked a little bit here about when we spoke about Gausman and trying to leave no stone unturned. I guess the Yankees. We do have the Yankees lineup. Every key guys are in it. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge are in it. You also have Alex Verdugo. Of course, those guys are all outfielders, so we can only play 3 of them on DK. But Anthony Volpe is in the mix. Anthony Rizzo. Maybe he's starting to come out of his slump a little bit.
Yeah.
Thoughts there on the Bronx Bombers?
They look good here. I think they always come in a little bit higher owned than expected. Certainly the top of their lineup. The bottom of the lineup is where you're going to really see an ownership discount. Judge, Soto, those guys will get love, but they deserve to. So I don't mind the Yankees here. They're expensive, but so are a bunch of other top stacks on the slate. 2 teams I'm looking at like in this price range towards the upper half of the top stack tool. Both sides of the Cincy, Texas game. So I do slightly prefer Texas, even though I think Abbott and Dunning are similar. I guess I would prefer Abbott long-term, but I just think Texas's lineup is much better. They're getting low ownership. Now for Cincinnati, you get the advantage that Dunning is actually getting love. So both sides of that game are intriguing to me and right in line with the Yankees, Tampa, Baltimore, and the Braves, to be honest.
All right. So I had to go look up Dane Myers here. I was going to make some joke about who bombs better, Dane Myers or Dane Cook. The answer is Dane Myers, I think, because he is 28.
He stinks.
Steamer, zips, the bat. They're projecting him for less than a 120 isolated power. That's not good. They would be projecting him, if he was to play an entire season, for 10 steals, 15 home runs, and that's if he's getting 500 plate appearances. Yikes. He's $2,000, and he was mentioned in chat, so it's fair. It's like, hey, there's a $2,000 player going and gets a pitcher. I just shit all over. So do I like this guy? I don't know. Will the tools like him? Yes, because that's the guy that's going to facilitate us getting Tariq Skubal on a lot of lineups. Do we feel good about it? No. But if he gets a double and an RBI, we're doing cartwheels. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sort of like good luck, Chuck. But anyway.
This is like the age-old MLB DFS adage. Like, would you rather stack a team that's bad against a guy like Patrick Corbin, or would you rather stack a much better team that's in a worse spot? Obviously, it's going to play out differently every single slate, but I think those are real decision points today.
Right. The obligatory mention for Sean B. It's Anthony Volpe's birthday today. So shout out to Anthony Volpe. Will he get a birthday home run? I don't know. Let's see who's got any playoff guys have NBA birthdays today. Let's look at that quickly. That could be important. Nope, nobody has a birthday today. And the NBA of note, Hank Williams. Damn, he did a lot of things. I didn't realize Hank Williams, I mean, country singer, and he played in the NBA. May not be the same Hank Williams, or it could be. It was no 1952 way. And he played 39 games. I know it's not, but it could be. It could be. Chuck Connors played in the NBA, and he was the rifleman. He was a TV star, not a very good basketball player. He actually broke a backboard in the 50s, and it wasn't through a dunk. It was through a bricked free throw. The little rubber piece had fallen out, so when he clanged it on the iron, it broke the backboard.
Well, you finally done it. You finally have aged me out. It took you all this time, but you finally did it. I have no clue what you're talking about.
All right. Well, so Chuck Connors was on this show called The Rifleman. It was in the 50s. It was a black and white Western. Maybe it was in the 60s. I just remember because it was one of the reruns that was always on when I was a kid. But I remember reading a story about him there. So damn it. So you were masquerading as a fellow old, but clearly you're not.
Oh no, I am old. I'm just not that old.
I lost a lot of the chat on the milk carton reference. There's still a few self-identified olds in here, but there we go. Is there anything else you want to mention here with the stacks? We still need to talk about some home runs, of course.
Not really. It's the type of slate where no team is projected to be over 10% owned. So, and that's Atlanta, and it's Atlanta against Ben Lively. They might be a little bit higher at the top of their lineup because shouldn't be too hard to fit them, but they are really expensive. So a true, and I've said this a couple of times recently, and it happens a lot when we don't have cores and we've got, similar pitching options like throughout the entire slate. It's a kind of choose who you want offense. The only ownership that I'd be worried about even a little bit is actually there is no combo. I mean, Skubal, Suarez, and Miami or Washington, but just because I don't like the ownership that Miami and Washington are getting doesn't mean that they're going to be crazy chalk. So there's no combo, at least right now, that I'd be worried about playing.
All right. I'm looking at the weather here real quick. This is, as Spags used to call him, Mevin Toth. Kevin Roth. We can say that. He says there's between storm systems, he thinks there's a pretty good window for Detroit. We've still got 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours before we have to, sorry, my math is off. We have 2 hours before we need to make that decision. So we should at least kind of know what radar is telling us. A little bit of storm chance in Chicago, but it's nothing more than a glancing delay at worst. And then Boston, but that's Sunday night baseball. That's the game that has the highest risk of in-game weather issues. But remember, Sunday night baseball, it's the Cubs in Boston. So a lot of times they feature teams that aren't playing each other again. They'll wait around to get the game in if it's at all possible. So let's see. Oh, we got to mention Houston and Colorado. So that's the afternoon slate. So I will drop my the link to my article in Slack here or in chat again for the spotlight pitchers and top stacks. But just to call that one out. So Houston and Colorado in Mexico City, 16.5 implied game total right now. It is at Alfredo Harp Helu Stadium. With the research courtesy of MLB.com and CBS Sports. I've linked to their articles in my article as well. They mentioned that similar dimensions to Coors Field, but is 2,000 feet higher in elevation. We've got Austin Gomber going today for Colorado. The bullpen had 4 pitchers throw yesterday. They combined for 90 pitches, but both teams had a travel day on Friday. So, and most of the bullpen did not pitch on Thursday. So aside from those 4 guys that went yesterday, 3 of them had 22 to 25 pitches, and I think 1 had 11. The guys with more pitches may not throw as much. The Astros are countering with Framber Valdez. If he was fully healthy, it'd be interesting to see how his ground ball stuff would play at altitude. But he is missed the last 3 weeks. He did not have a rehabilitation start, but he did experience elbow discomfort in his left elbow. He's a lefty in a throwing session. So hopefully it's nothing more serious than that, but it's hard to really think he's going to go more than 4 or 5 innings because, well, why do something crazy? It's a long season ahead here for the Astros. The Astros also had 4 relievers go yesterday. They combined for about 80 pitches, but we'll see the bullpens today. But play anybody in this game is the final thing. But 16.5 implied total. What was it, like 14-2 yesterday or 12-4, something like that? So he got right around that total yesterday. But lots of fun there. Who are your top home runs calls? I have Josh Bell. We did not. I don't think we hit either of our home runs yesterday.
I did. I hit Brian Reynolds late in extra innings. We did 2 each because we did like a expensive one and then like a lower one, which let's do that again today. My expensive one is going to be Adolis Garcia.
Okay. I will go with Josh Bell. Let me look for a spendy guy. Who's your mid-tier?
My mid-tier guy is going to be, I'm going to go do Lawrence Butler leading off with a home run today.
Okay. I will go with Juan Soto as my spendy guy. I do like the matchup there for him against Tobias Meyer. And then in the afternoon slate, I did write him up as a home run wager of the day. Julio Rodriguez, you want to get him at least plus 500 or better. True odds are plus 396. You want to be very, very careful when you're doing home run odds, which is why we use Odd Shopper, right? You can see across the board, you can get swings of up to 200 or 300 between the different sites when it comes to home run odds. Home runs are so incredibly fickle. Even the best, like he had one of the better numbers I've seen in a while. He has a 20% chance to hit a home run today. That is 1 in 5. He has 1 on the season, right? Yeah, he was in the home run derby last year and he had 28 his rookie season and he had 32 last year. But he's in a little bit of a slump. He's still making contact. He's got some okay barrels. So it's just a matter of time before he gets home runs. He's going against Brandon Pfaadt today. Pfaadt is an above average prospect, but he did have some issues in righty matchups last year. That will probably normalize out, but he did allow over a 200 ISO to righties last year, which bodes well for Rodriguez. So there are my 3 overall calls. I think that's going to do it for us, Matt. You wrap us up with your pitcher other than Scoob.
I'm going to go Ryan Weathers, ownership price spot thing. Washington getting a little love. And I like Texas a lot against Abbott. It's not even about Abbott himself. It's just Texas is really, really good at not getting any ownership. So I like Texas, specifically the top of their lineup. But there's a bunch of good spots to go today. So should be a fun one.
All right, so we dropped that Spotlight Pitchers and Top Stacks article into Slack. I've got the DFS building blocks for NBA free article that's on the Stochastic homepage. We have NBA Live Before Lock coming up now in 8 minutes on the same YouTube different stream, but same YouTube channel. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. You can also hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live, and we're going live multiple times per day. We also have our Odd Shopper YouTube channel that has over 100,000 subscribers on it already. All sorts of videos on demand and other shorts are on there daily. So it's a lot of content coming here for free because we like you guys. We want to help you out. We want to, make money for you guys, make money for us. It's a good situation here. So we want you guys to do well. You can follow Matt over there on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. I am at EMac DFS. Thank you to producer Mike, and follow us on the main Twitter/X channel, stochastic_com. With that, gamers, good luck.